What's up, my dudes? So, top 5 problems with PUBG slash top 5 things they could add to PUBG. So, with this video, I'm not going to be talking about some of the smaller things. Like, I know a lot of people kind of hate the red zone and certain stuff like that. I'm really going to be talking about more large core gameplay elements to the game that I just can see right away that I feel like would really help the game and give it a lot more variation and longevity to the game as well. So first of all, let's talk about the maps of the game. All right, so I know a lot of people are kind of twisted because they came out with another map in the game and they don't really give you the option to like pick which map you want to play on and stuff like that. So I feel like this new desert map has sort of gotten a lot of hate for it because it really is so different from the original PUBG woodland map. But the maps in this game, they're obviously way bigger than like a Call of Duty map, so you can't expect to have as many maps on PUBG that you would have on like a Call of Duty. But I still feel like whenever PUBG gets to the point where it actually has 4 or 5 different maps with totally different biomes on them, it'll really start to feel more like a game than this just like, oh, we're on this map, this woodland map, and then, oh, hey, we're on this woodland map again for the 7th time, and then we're over here on this desert map for the 8th time in a row. And I feel like the whole thing where when they don't give you the option to pick which map you want to play on, I feel like they do that now because there's only 2 maps to play on anyway. So it's one of those things where if they did give you the option to pick right now, then it might totally like eliminate the ability to play on one map because everybody might play on the other map. But once you get to the point where you've got 3 or 4 different types of maps in the game, it's not going to feel so repetitive. It's not going to be like, oh crap, man, I got the desert map for the 7th time in a row and now I hate the desert map. You're going to actually be able to cycle through the maps a lot more like you would a Call of Duty. But as it is right now, I mean, I can understand the frustration of not being able to pick which map you want to play on because it seems like you get the map you don't want to play on over and over and over because there's only 2 maps in the game. But I feel like one thing they really should do is add a more of a thick, dense jungle style map. Like what I'm thinking is kind of that, you know, the original Predator movie when they're all like going through the, I guess it's like Vietnam jungle or whatever that is. They really need a map like that in this game. I feel like that's one really big combat environment kind of biome that's totally missing in the game right now. I feel like it's just like, okay, let me explain it like this. So the very original PUBG map, the normal woodland map, it kind of has a sort of base layout throughout the entire map. So you have a lot of trees on that map, like normal woodland, so you can't really see super far in on that original PUBG map, and there is trees to hide behind, but it's not like a dense jungle. You're not like hiding behind crazy foliage and like sneaking around bushes, and you're not really doing that so much. You're just kind of hiding behind trees everywhere. Whereas the desert map is, there's not a whole lot of trees on it, so you're seeing way more of a wide open area. You're seeing way longer distances. I mean, shit, you could see somebody, you know, 10,000 feet away from you all the way across the map on the desert map. Not that you're going to be able to shoot at them from that distance, but you can see them. Whereas on the woodland map, the trees sort of block you from being able to do that, so it keeps everything a little bit tighter as far as a gameplay combat sense. But with the desert map, it's way more about like being able to hide behind like a certain mountain and being able to kind of like use the mountains as cover, and that's not really so much of an element in the original woodland PUBG map. So that's what I talk about whenever you have truly completely different layouts on each one of these maps. And I feel like if they add that jungle map, it's going to give you that feeling of like that totally different sort of layout of a map. You're going to really be able to like duck behind bushes and get behind tall grass and kind of sneak around and do cool stuff like that. You can't really do so much of that in PUBG right now. I mean, you can sneak around a little bit, but the footsteps, good Lord, they're like a damn earthquake. I mean, you could hear them from, 30 miles away. Like, it is very footstep, sound horror-based game for sure. So I feel like if they at least had the like dense jungle, you got tons of trees everywhere and stuff, even if you can hear somebody, you might not be able to see them because your vision is so distorted and blocked from all the foliage around you. So it'll give you that cool, different kind of gameplay feeling in the game. And I know I think they have been working on somewhat of a jungle map in the test server or something like that. And I think it might actually be quite a bit of a smaller map too. I'm not exactly sure on all that. That's just, hearsay kind of information I've been hearing from people. But I also was thinking it would be cool to have obviously a snow map in this game. That'd be kind of a cool different element to it. And even like a nighttime map. I know they did have some weather effects in the game. Like I know they had fog in there at one point. I know some people hated that. And for like some of the more professional dudes, they want like a super consistent basis every time they play the game. So those sort of dudes are not too into the idea of like weather effects in the game. Whereas me, I think it's kind of cool. I think it just adds to the game, gives it a little bit more variation. Could you imagine like having this desert map, but at nighttime? That would be so cool, dude. Now, I'm not saying to have like a night version of every map. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I don't think it would be as cool on the original map to have that nighttime, but I feel like the desert map nighttime would be actually pretty cool. You would be able to, and I'm not talking like pitch black dark all over the map. I don't want it to be like a fog of war where you can only see like 50 feet in front of you and then you can't see any further than that at all. I don't really think it should be like that. I feel like there should be like street lights in the cities or the little towns and stuff, and then you should still be able to like see people from a distance, but it's just harder to see people, right? So it's like harder to get your shots on target. People can hide a little bit better, but not to the point where everything's just totally pitch black like you're in a cave and you can't see your hand in front of your face. Like, that's not what I'm talking about at all. I feel like there should be a little bit of natural moonlight coming down over the whole map, but it'd be cool to have like flashlight attachments, and it would just give this game more life to it, man. It seems like it just does give you that repetitive kind of map feeling. Even though, yes, the maps are big and there's so much to them, I feel like it's just kind of missing that variation in gear. And talking about the snow map, it would be so cool to have like actually snow falling on that map at certain times of just like at random times, and that goes into like talking about the rain. You could have rain on certain maps. Where that could distort your hearing, right? Because you got the rain falling, so then you can't hear the footsteps as easy. I feel like that would be so cool in this game, but I understand from like a professional side of it, you don't want that because you want like this super consistent arena, basically. But for me, I feel like it would be so cool to have that in the game. And as of right now, it seems like, yeah, you can get different times of day on each one of these maps, but that's about it. You don't really have any like true weather effects in the game right now, but that kind of goes into the next point here as well, is like having smaller maps and sort of having like different types of game modes within that. I mean, I feel like PUBG is such a cool combat shooter, but it's so limited because there's only one game mode in the game. You're only playing one kind of game here, basically, where it has the potential to be so much more than that. I'm talking like, I mean, shit, why not have like a team deathmatch mode where you're kind of in one part of the map? Kind of how, I think it was like how Battlefield started doing it, where on their really big maps, they would like kind of narrow you down to a certain random part of the map. So it's like, for instance, like the desert map would technically be like, I don't know, 10 different maps within that in a team deathmatch kind of environment, just kind of hone you down into one spot, and you couldn't go out of that spot. That would be so cool in this game. I feel like that would bring so many more people to the game as well. Now, trust me, I love my Battle Royale. Don't get me wrong. That is a whole nother cool thing in itself, but I just think that would be cool. And also having like a team deathmatch mode where it's got the small arena, but it's free-for-all, right? So, like, you're kind of getting... And I know some people are going to totally disagree with that because then it's going to kind of make some people want to go play that. You're not going to have as many people playing the Battle Royale. I get that. I really do. And I feel like that's probably the biggest reason why they haven't added more game modes, because they don't want everyone to just go play Team Deathmatch and not play Battle Royale. So I can understand the sort of kind of twist between the two, but I don't know. It would just be so cool to have those like Team Deathmatch experiences and free-for-all experiences in PUBG to me, because the gun combat is so cool. It feels realistic. You know, how you have to like really time your shots out, and the bandage system. I mean, I love everything about it. And the revive system. Could you imagine how cool that would be? Like, I don't know how many people it would be. Maybe like a 10v10 or something, team deathmatch, and you're like trying to revive your teammates and stuff. And I guess theoretically in a team deathmatch mode, it would be more like either they would have to do it where when you revive somebody, it didn't count the death on the score, or it was like one life for everybody. So it was like pretty quick team deathmatch modes. That would be kind of a cool way to go about doing it. You know, keeping that true feeling of, like, if you die, you don't respawn. You don't get, unless somebody revives you. You know, there's no way to come back. I think that would be really, really cool to have a team deathmatch mode that's like that. Like, if you die, you're done for that whole match. So either way, that's a couple little different game modes I was kind of talking about. Oh, and by the way, this top 5 list is not in order whatsoever. I'm just coming on here and talking about some different stuff. I just kind of called it a top 5 list. It's, you know, it is what it is. I don't know any other way to really title this video here. It'd be way too hard to put these in a like an actual coordinated list of some sort. But okay, so another thing about PUBG that I find to be a little bit weird and somewhat annoying is the fact that, okay, so like in your certain matches, each one of your matches can only have 100 people at the start of it, right? You can only have 100 people when everybody first drops in the airplane. Well, most of the time, you've got 10 people that leave or aren't even in the server anymore before anyone even jumps out of the plane. So you start at 100 and then you lose 10 people before anyone even drops out of the plane. So now you're down to 90. And then I would say within 5 minutes of everybody hitting the ground, you've already lost another 20 or 30 people from everybody in the really popular little towns and chaotic spots on the map, like Picada and the school and stuff like that. So within 5 minutes of each one of these matches, you've went from 100 people to like 50 people or 60 people. You've almost lost half of the people within 5 minutes. That's just crazy to me. That doesn't make any sense. And then sometimes, if you don't like land in a really popular area, you could be running around for 30 minutes and not see a soul. Not hear a bullet, not hear anything. The maps, I feel like, are a little bit too big for the amount of player count they allow you to have in each one of these different games, each one of these different servers. And that's probably just a technical limitation, right? They can't put more people because it can't handle it for some reason. But I feel like personally they should have 200 people in each one of these lobbies instead of 100. If they can get to it from a technical standpoint, I feel like that would be the best way to do it. And yes, your bigger cities and more popular spots are going to get a little bit more chaotic at the beginning because you're going to have like twice as many people landing there. But I feel like everywhere else, you're going to have more people just landing overall on the map. It's going to be more of a where you don't have that feeling of like not seeing anyone for an entire match. I feel like it is so based around like everyone just wants to land in one spot, and it's kind of sad because it's such a big map and there's so many places that you don't even see in the game. Like, have you ever been sitting there in the little lobby before you go into the game and you're like, oh, dude, what map is this? I've never seen this place. And you realize it's the fucking desert map, but it's just a spot on the map at the very edge of the corner that you've never been to before because there's no reason to go there. I find that to be quite just a disappointing thing about the game. It's like the maps are too big. The way they have it set up where you like go to certain towns and but just adding more people will make more people land in other areas because there's going to be way too many people in those hot zones like Picado and stuff like that. So you're going to have way more people just scattered throughout the entire map. It's going to give you more of a realistic, fun, higher action style of gameplay, I feel like. But also that kind of goes in with the shit, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the like having, I feel like there's a little bit too much loot in the game as it is right now, and that kind of goes in with why a lot of people want to land in one area or why everybody wants to land in the biggest town and stuff like that, because it's the loot of it is just so, it's so much more in those certain places. And another thing that goes with that is the way that the plane actually flies into the map when everyone jumps out. I feel like, personally, the plane should have way more flight paths than it does currently. It seems like, for the most part, the plane stays pretty much, I mean, it's not always going perfectly center, right? Sometimes it's going like a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. But for the most part, at any point in time when you jump out of the plane, you can basically land in the direct middle of the map. And it's kind of builds that thing, especially on the desert map with Picado being like right in the middle. It kind of makes it to where, like, why don't you land in Picado? Because you're going to have the best chance of not having to run super far, because the zone usually doesn't close down on the outskirts of the map anywhere. It's going to close down somewhere in the middle area of some sort, and that goes with the problem as well. Like, I feel like the flight paths, like, for instance, should be able to just totally go like across the water, and then everyone has to jump out right around the beach area, or it like totally goes a diagonal angle where you can't even hardly land in Picado one time. You know, have more variation in the flight paths, and that'll make it a lot different where people go on the maps. It'll make the maps feel you know, even though they're really big, they feel small because everyone goes to the same place. So I feel like that would be a really good thing to do. Just make it to where way more flight paths, but also way more spots where the zone gets really, really small at. Like I was saying, you know, they should make it to where some of the far outskirts of the map can be where it gets super, super small. And that'll make you actually start going to those places instead of just feeling like you drop in Picado and it's like a little Call of Duty map and that's where everybody goes, and then you just kind of drive your vehicle to the middle zone, wherever it is. Kind of like the way it does basically is all of your little outskirt towns, the little zone at the end of the game, I've never seen it go to any of those very far outskirt towns. So I've never even been to the outskirt towns of any of the maps because there's just no reason to. Like, you're just going to be farther away from the zone. There's just no point in it, really. So that's, I think if they fix both of those things, it's going to make the maps feel a lot bigger. You know, it's going to make them feel like you're going to more places on the map. It's going to give you more variation within each one of these maps that's already in the game. So I think that would be a good thing for it, but still keep the variation where it does fly directly in the middle sometimes. You know, even though I'm saying these things, I still want them to keep the current system and variation of it. I just want them to add to it, basically. So other than that, shooting range would be cool. I don't know why they don't really have that in the game. And when you first start in the game, it can definitely be pretty bizarre when you're sitting there like trying to, you don't even know what any gun does because you've only picked it up one time in the game, and it can definitely be difficult. It would just be fun to have a shooting range in the loading lobby with all the guns in there. You got different targets at different ranges and stuff. That'd be cool. And I understand they did actually take, I don't know how this dude right here didn't see me. Oh my god, got that silencer, baby. But yeah, what I was saying though is, I don't know, like before they had that one loading map where you actually had guns on the table and you could pick them up and kind of shoot at each other and stuff before the match started, but they actually ended up taking those away. I don't know if it was for like a technical side issue. It was creating it to where the servers weren't running as smooth. I'm not really sure, but they did kind of have it in there at one point, but kind of took it away. So I would like to see a shooting range eventually in the loading screen part of it, or not even in the loading screen, right? You could just go to the shooting range instead of joining in a actual match in the game. But other than that, I would like to see more guns in the game, more weapons, man, like a rocket launcher. That's one of the biggest things that comes to mind because they're just so much fun. I feel like PUBG is kind of missing out on that fun weapon element. It's got all your basic weapons. It's got like AK, M4, snipers, submachine guns, but you don't really have like a rocket launcher, or a little idea I had that could add a flamethrower. That'd be kind of cool, and have it make it where it runs off of the fuel that you put into the vehicles. That'd be kind of a cool little gameplay element. And the flamethrower would be something where if you like ran into a room on squads and like a whole squad was in there, you could just let it rip with that flamethrower and just burn everybody. That would be so much fun in a gameplay sense of this game. But as far as the rocket launcher, I think it would be really cool, but they got to be careful and not make it to where you can pick up like 30 rockets at one time. You want to kind of limit how many you can have. I would say like make it to where you could have 6 rockets with you at one time if you find that many to loot, if you had a level 3 backpack. I think that would be a good kind of way to do it, so you're not just sitting there shooting rockets all day long, so it doesn't give you that kind of chaotic, unrealistic feeling. But that'd be fun if like you were in a vehicle riding in the passenger seat with your buddy and you were hanging out the side of the vehicle with your rocket launcher and you shot another vehicle right beside you and it just instantly exploded their vehicle, kind of giving you that like Warthog Halo kind of gameplay element. That'd be cool to add to the game. And also just an infantry-based system with the rocket launcher. If you can get it close enough to their feet to kill them, that would be cool as well. But just kind of also you could say like a grenade launcher as well, but you got to be careful and make sure that grenade launcher doesn't launch the grenades too far. You want to kind of give it a limitation on that, and still, like I said with the rocket launcher, don't make it to where you can have like a crazy amount of ammo for the grenade launcher at one time where it's like overpowered, or a crazy amount of rockets at one time. You want to kind of limit that and make it kind of clinky. Or I say clinky, make it kind of janky, I guess that's the right word. Kind of weird to use those weapons, right? They're just kind of funky feeling. Like when you shoot the rocket launcher, it's not going to shoot the rocket perfectly straight. You want to make it where the rocket kind of comes out squirrely, so it's kind of hard to aim it. And with the grenade launcher, you want to kind of make it where it's got quite a bit of drop to it, where you can't just like, just sit there and shoot 10 rockets in one exact area and blow 10,000 people up. You want to kind of give it a little bit of a balance there. But other than that, I mean, throwing weapons would be kind of a cool little silly thing like they had in Modern Warfare 2 and some of these newer Call of Duties, where and they do kind of have stuff like that in the game, like a crossbow and certain stuff like that. But it'd be just cool to see like a throwing knife or whatever tomahawk style weapon, where if it hits somebody, it's basically like somewhat of an instant kill, but you got to be able to hit them with it. And it's like, that's also a really weird weapon to use because it has a lot of drop to it. You're throwing something, you're not even shooting something. But I think that would give PUBG quite a bit of longevity, just having more weapons to the game. They don't really have those kind of fun, different style weapons in the game currently. They just have your standard, basic, military grade type weapons, and it'd be cool to see it, man, for sure. But other than that, that's basically I know I kind of went over a couple little different things, but that's somewhat of a top 5 list, things I think should be added to the game that would really help the game. And I know there's one side of this game where you can think of, the game doesn't really have like a bleed system to it. So if you, like, when you get shot, it doesn't really matter how much you get shot, you're not going to bleed. You know what I mean? There's no bleeding. You're not going to sit there and lose health after you've been shot or anything like that. So I don't know, I'm a little twisted on that. Like, it would be cool because I know this game is going for like a super realistic combat shooter kind of feel, so it'd be cool where if somebody hits you in a certain area, then it makes you bleed. Like I don't know, whatever part of the body, it can really make you bleed, but sometimes it doesn't make you bleed, right? And then it like forces you to bandage in certain occasions. That would add kind of another layer to it, but I understand the people that wouldn't want that in there. I can definitely see the gameplay side of that where you wouldn't want it, but I don't know if I even really want that. That was just something to kind of throw out there. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see it, but I don't know if it'd work really good in this game. It'd have to be balanced like really well. But other than that, yeah, those are all the things I think would really help this game. And just be things that would be fun to see. And also, I mean, you could even go as far as to have like squads that are like 5v5, like still the same exact squad where you got all these different 100 people worth of squads in one server, but instead of it just being limited to 4v4, it's like 5v5. I think that would add a really big layer to it. It'd be more like little mini battles than it is like this little 4v4 type situation, either like 5v5 or possibly even 6v6. Still keeping everything the exact same as far as Battle Royale game rules and stuff, but just giving you a little bit more players within the squad gameplay and stuff like that. And I know this game has a lot of like hit detection problems. We actually had a fucking hacker in one of our servers. I was playing with some dudes on the squad, just some random subscribers. If you want to add me on there, by the way, it's just Spencer Turley, no space, no capital on Steam. But we actually had a legit hacker, and this was the first time I've ever actually seen it in this game. But there was no question about it. Like, we were all four in completely different positions in this one building, right? Two of us, I think, were actually outside of the building. But this dude came up here and one guy shot every single one of us in our squad in like the matter of literally 5 seconds. And he didn't miss a single shot. And as soon as he shot, it was like the recoil he had it on burst fire too. Like, who the fuck uses burst fire? Anyways, he was using that from a pretty long distance and just like instantly locked on to each one of us as he aimed at us. And he wiped out our whole squad in like, seriously, 5 seconds, and we were all in different areas, like completely different areas. He was just like, aim at that dude, kill him, aim at this dude, kill him real quick, aim at this dude, kill him, just like 3-round bursts, killed all of us, man. So that was obvious hacker, so don't think for a second that there's not really hackers in this game, because it's like a newer game, and that's why they add that option in there to instantly report people on the death from the death cam and stuff. And there's definitely some hacking going on in this game, but sometimes you can't really tell if they're hacking, but other times you can. But that was definitely a moment where dude was hacking for sure. But either way, shout out to SquidSquadSTL.com. Go check out his website for clothing and stickers and stuff. It's got a lot of cool stuff over there. But yeah, man, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.